Hello, everybody. High Conscious Vitality. I'm just the average person here with Anthony Zender, Space Force Super Soldier, U.S. Marine Corps. Where this is episode 2 of the Secret Space Force. Anthony, thanks for coming on. So happy you're here.
Yeah, thank you, Joel, for having me. It is an honor to be on your show and to just be able to have a platform to be getting out the truth and to be a part of disclosure that's happening right now. So, thank you very much.
No, thank you. I love talking with you, and this is, making my day every time we get on a call. And so I'm sure it's making a lot of other people's day. So here at Conscious Vitality, we're gonna be going through part 2 of Anthony's story. First episode, we kind of went through your military abductions, how you grew up a bit, the world you were introduced to with this Nazi breakaway society, and how it's intertwined with our reality, how they've worked with the CIA, and being a part of these abduction programs, the different Hollywood movies that linked us all together. Disclosure is happening right now. So today we're gonna get into some of your young adult life, and then to now, where you're a Space Force soldier, having some amazing experiences. So let's start, young adult life. We're picking up is your wrestling career.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, it is like it's very in involved story. I have a lot of things that happen to me because I have two different lives that I'm explaining. I have my normal life that I'm living on this earth, and then I have the obviously the super soldier life that's happening parallel at the same time that I'm having my regular life. So obviously, being part of this program, I was a star seed, and my genetics were obviously showing were extraterrestrial. And then I was taken into deep underground military bases, and I was obviously uh, uh, there were experiments done on me to do genetic manipulation, and that was part of obviously being part of the program. But in my young teenage years, I obviously started to show exceptional abilities, like in sports and mental, physical, spiritual, emotional abilities. Um, and when I was in high school, I actually wrestled, and I had a record of 120 wins and 18 losses, which is a lot of that's a lot of facing off one on one,
Yeah.
in combat with another person. So I definitely had 120 and 18 as a high school student, and I won state and was undefeated my senior year. So I obviously was showing exceptional abilities at that time. But at the same time, I was going through that. There was a lot of trauma in my family, and that was all part of the MK Ultra programming. There needed to be extra trauma so that I would go to certain lengths to be extraordinary and incredible, which I did. I channeled that into my wrestling, and then obviously when I was 18 years old, my mother, she actually got hit by a car on foot going 55 miles an hour. She actually is a super soldier too, and she actually didn't die from that. She survived. Um, but at that time, I actually went to join the Marine Corps. And at 18, I signed up for the Marine Corps, and I obviously went in and into boot camp, and boot camp is 3 months long, and Marine Corps drill instructors are known to be Marine Corps drill instructors for a reason, because they are absolutely insane. And I can't. I mean, I could go into a lot of stories in the Marine Corps and what they did, and screaming and yelling and throwing things around, and just absolute chaos and mayhem. But obviously, they're training you to get ready to go into war. So I experienced that for 3 months, and in that time, in 3 months, I was actually in the Marines. They have platoons, and they actually chose me to be the leader of my platoon. So I was the leader of my platoon, which is known as the guide. So I was in charge of 60 other people, but part of the responsibilities of that is actually you get in trouble for everybody too. So if anybody makes a mistake, that then falls on me, and then I have to get in trouble for that, which they would do many different things to me, which they called incentive training, where they would obviously make me do all kinds of different exercises, kicking dirt in my face, and all kinds of stuff. But basically, I was the guide into boot camp, and out of 360 people, I graduated second out of my class. One guy actually graduated ahead of me, but that's because he shot better than me on the range. Um, and usually, when they graduate, a, uh, a company of Marines, they only have one of the Marines become an E3, which is a Lance Corporal. But in this time where I graduated, they actually gave us both Lance Corporal, like
Wow.
because they were obviously they were impressed by me, and they made a exception for us both to get Lance Corporal E3. So I actually got that honor of receiving that out of boot camp, because I obviously performed exceptionally. So then I obviously went into the School of Infantry after that, which is Marine Corps Infantry um, training, and that was in Camp Pendleton, California. And I was there for 2 months and got my infantry training, where I became a 0351 assaultman, which is basically they're called an assaultman because they're an attachment of an infantry unit that is basically responsible for the assault. Like we have rocket launchers that will fire into buildings or whatever we're assaulting. We have demolitions that we do. Basically, in Iraq, we were in charge of blowing up the doors while the teams entered. And I was trained to be an assaultman for the infantry. So that was what I did in SOI, which is the School of Infantry. And then when you are done with that, you then get tasked out to the fleet, which I was tasked out to my unit, which was 3rd Battalion, 4th Marines, and they're known as 3rd Battalion, 4th Marine Dark Side. And obviously, I started to go through training there in my unit, and then we actually got tasked out to then go to Fallujah, Iraq. So this was all obviously the life, my actual life on this earth, happening to me. And so we got sent to Fallujah, Iraq, and we actually got sent there to replace the unit that was just involved in the second invasion of Fallujah, because we actually the U.S. lost Fallujah after the first time that it got invaded. So there was a second time that it had to be invaded, and my unit was involved with relieving the unit that had taken over the city. And just to give a example of how destructive war is, um, uh, basically Fallujah had around 300 mosques in it. And after the second battle of Fallujah, there were only 60 mosques that were standing.
Wow.
So it was extremely destructive. And I did a tour there. And when I remember going into Fallujah and just seeing burnt cars on the outside of Fallujah, and destroyed homes everywhere. And when we first got into Fallujah, we basically went into a palace that we had taken over. That was where our command center was, because we were basically tasked out to hold where it had been taken over from. So I was in Fallujah, in the city of Fallujah, for 8 months, basically patrolling and doing basically all types of different searches in the houses, and all types of different watch posts throughout the city. For 8 months, I was doing that. So
Wow.
that was my deployment to Iraq.
So how much overlay did you're clearly going through? You've described it yourself as a adjustment bureau situation, where I just watched the movie last night. My gosh, it's really helping put pieces together. So in the ways that your military career was, helping you get ready for what you were eventually going to get into with the secret space program, how much of that did you like? How much overlay now looking back do you realize that had?
That is a good question, because here is the thing, because I'm attempting to explain this the most linearly I can, but this whole thing it's like a nonlinear thing that has to be explained. So I will go back and explain, because my inductment into the Marines, I was adjustment bureaued into the Marines, and plus when I was in the Marines, I had actually already done my secret space program tour, and then I got sent back because I actually got taken when I was 16. When I was 16 is when I signed the contract, because they were grooming me all through my life. Obviously, doing the adjustment bureau things, sending German pilots into my life that were Marines, going through the deep underground military, my labs, all of that was to groom me up to the time when I was 16, where they did approach me, and they did have me sign a contract, and then they erased my memory of it, because that was at that point when they did that was when I got actually recruited and taken to the moon, trained on the moon, and then I actually started my first 20 and back. And then obviously at 16 was where that happened. They took me, and then I got sent back after my tour was done to the time where they took me. And then I just started living out my regular life, which obviously led me into the Marines, where I had already done my secret space program, one of my secret space program 20 and backs. if that makes sense. So I was influenced by my secret space program career that I had already done when I went into the Marines.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense. So
basically, I
it's
was
yeah, it's totally non-linear.
things were bleeding through. Like I was
Mm.
living a reality in this reality, but it was because I was just getting bleed throughs that I was doing everything I was doing. But at the time, I wasn't aware yet that I had been involved in the SSP.
So
But
while
it
you
was,
were active duty, you were getting bleed through memories of like I was on like this mission on the moon while you're in service
oh yeah, that was happening, but I wasn't in knowledge yet
of what they really were.
that those were SSP memories and stuff
Mm.
because I had been getting them my whole entire life, you know.
Yeah.
But now I know what was bleeding through now, like
Dang.
throughout those whole times. So I was doing real tours in real life, but I was actually remembering things that I had already been through because they keep like they do in Bloodshot, they keep using you over and over again, and they can take you on however many things that they want to do. And with me personally, I've been involved in uh, over 4,000 missions.
Dude, that
So,
bloodshot scene was so funny when they like he like when the whole movie it's basically Manchurian Candidate where like he's being programmed and he's having planted memories. But then when you realize that he's just like like you took my wife and like it's just a screen memory of his and that he keeps living it over and over again. That like that's so tough. That's
it's
really
it
crazy.
yeah, it's real. It is real. The technology that they show on that is the type of technology that these corporations have that run super soldiers because they can erase people's memories. They can implant things into people's minds to make them do certain things, and that's what they do. They program people's memories and they program things into people's minds so that the elite can carry out these missions. And basically, the show Dollhouse does show that's what they do. They have people that they can do this to, and they are carrying out the elite's missions.
Yeah. Um, yeah, Dollhouse is a really good example of that. Just to clarify, so at 16, you signed a contract and you got wiped of it. What can you tell us about the contract? Like, who was asking you? What was like in exactly the contract? And clearly, I think your family had signed similar contracts. Sometime we're going to need to do a Zender family secret space force briefing. But what can you tell us about the contract?
Yeah. The thing is obviously the family that was moved into my life, the German pilots, they were, they knew something was going on, but they obviously couldn't know everything because it is of the highest national security that the Space Force is involved in. But the thing with the signing of the contract, I actually don't even remember signing that. Like, I had to be told that was I did that by actually Peter the Insider.
Hmm.
And when I actually, because when you wake up to this, you are looking for answers. And obviously, that search took me to, obviously, I found Super Soldier Talk. But then later on, Peter the Insider, who is the director of the 12th Division of the Alien Contact and Intelligence Organization, he has the most information out of anybody in disclosure. So he is more than the real deal. And he told me a lot of the things that I couldn't remember. And he also told me a lot of the things that I could remember. And he confirmed a lot of the things too. And the reason why I knew him, well, I mean, how I could tell his information was legitimate was I actually asked him one time. I'm like, am I going to be getting approached by somebody, at some time soon? And he's like, yes, you will be getting approached. He's like, you will be getting approached in 2 months by a man named Lincoln Clay. And basically what happened was 2 months later, I was walking down a trail in the middle of the woods, and there was a man in a sweatshirt standing in the middle in my pathway. And basically, I know that there are people that are involved in the secret space program. They will approach you. You know what I'm saying? They will come to you and approach you because otherwise you will just ignore them. So they want to get your attention. And basically, this man that was standing right directly in my pathway, I was going to walk right past him and not say anything. And he turns around and he's actually wearing a Marine Corps sweatshirt. And he's like, hey, are you that MMA fighter? And I was like, yeah, I fight MMA. And he's like, yeah, I've seen a couple of your fights. You're pretty good. He's like, yeah, so what are you up to these days? And he's kind of started asking me some questions, and I answered them. But then I actually said, oh well, I have to go now, and pretty much I started leaving, and then he came up to me and he's like, hey, he's like, by the way, he's like, my name's Jay, which is very close to Lincoln Clay. It's pretty much like telling me that he's Lincoln Clay, and Lincoln Clay is actually the head of all black operations for the secret space program, and he actually approached me in real life. And so obviously he approached me in this reality, but the other reality where I am going on missions with him, like in Operation Rainbow 52, that was actually a mission I ran with him. My memory is being wiped of my involvement with him, but he actually did show up to me in this reality, from that reality, if that makes sense. And what he was doing was he was just kind of preparing me to start remembering the things that I had been involved in.
So just to clarify for everybody, Lincoln Clay, what video game was he also in?
It is Mafia 3.
Yeah. Okay. So disclosure happens in video games. Anthony's runs through like different games where you're seeing, when we get into this secret space program part, they'll literally pull the exact name of the companies that are in these Space Marine Corps, and they'll like Monarch, Shoreline, and they're all these names that are in video games, which are it's like a part of the disclosure project by using the exact names.
Yeah, they're real black ops corporations. They're revealing real black op corporations in video games, movies, and all that. And that's very important because you're not going to see them online. You're not going to know about them unless you're the highest level of military intelligence, or you are a truther and you're seeking the truth. You're not going to know about these black op corporations that are operating interdimensionally as well as interplanetary as well. But basically, they do disclose in video games. There's a lot of disclosure, which I can elaborate on that as well. when the time comes to
Yeah.
start explaining missions and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well. So let's. It's so exciting to talk about all these different things. So let me reel us back from our excitement, um, because so we were talking about, so you're signing the contracts at 16, wiped. You're going to the military. You're going to the Marine Corps. Um, so let's transition to um, the honorable discharge, and then the MMA career, and then to your finding yourself spiritually.
Yeah, definitely. That's no problem. Uh, I went over to Fallujah, Iraq, experienced a combat tour there. I got shot at by RPGs when I was in a convoy. Had that experience. I got shot at when I was on post. When we first got there, I was on a post and kind of got shot at and heard a couple cracks go over my head, and also saw I saw a pretty horrendous experience that can be looked up online uh, as well. It was actually where I believe 7 or 8 women Marines got uh, hit by a vehicle borne improvised explosive device, and I was on a patrol convoy, actually with that unit, and I saw that happen, and that's actually in the paper. That can be looked up. That event can be looked up. But basically, I finished when I got back from Iraq the first time. I then started training again, and I was actually going to go into the Scout Sniper program. I was starting to train for that, and I actually got orders to go on the All Marine Wrestling team. And I actually went on the All Marine Wrestling team, and I ended up breaking my arm. And because I broke my arm, I couldn't deploy again to Iraq. So basically, I finished out my career with a broken arm, and then they basically I did my 4 years, and then they honorably I got an honorable discharge because I went through my 4 years of service and did everything with honor and got a good conduct and an honorable discharge. So um, I am a veteran, and I get benefits and stuff from the government. So I'm an actual legitimately honorably discharged veteran. Um, but the, haven't brought the secret space program. Actually, I can tell that story of bringing that. I will tell that story of talking about the secret space program to the Veterans Administration, because that's when I got approached by the man in black. So, but what happened was after I got out of the Marines, I basically was 22 years old, and I was just kind of finding my way in life for 3 years. And I started obviously training to fight. I started training MMA, which obviously was kickboxing, Muay Thai, wrestling, jujitsu, all of that. I started training in that when I got out of the Marine Corps, and I started to fight. I started to fight MMA. I started in amateurs at first, and I had 2 fights amateur, and then after my 2 fights, I turned pro. So I began to do pro MMA fighting, and that was obviously I was training every day, and then I was fighting professional people. I still do, and it is quite the experience because you train as hard as you can for somebody else that's training as hard as they can to take you out. So I mean that's what you have to do all the time. And I actually have 32 professional fights. So I've been doing that since I've been 22. I've been training in martial arts, which obviously this has to do with my secret space program experience, is all the martial arts training, because there are many memories where I'm using my martial arts, and obviously I'll get into those memories in my missions. But I after I got out of the Marines, I started fighting professionally, and at the same time, I started. I was going through my spiritual awakening, and fighting was really accelerating that process, because I mean you're really going through a battle with yourself when you're fighting, because really that's who the battle is against, is yourself, because uh, you're going against your aspects of you are being brought up that wouldn't be brought up if you weren't, say, fighting for your survival. So there are darker aspects that you have to purge with like light when you're going through the fighting experience, which is obviously something that's been happening throughout the ages, because warriors, they'll either turn to the light side or the dark side when you go through the fighting experience. So I was definitely going through the spiritual experience, fighting with my dark and my light side, but obviously going more towards the light side with my spirituality and learning about God and who God was, and obviously going through all the different religions and and learning what they were, and obviously finding my own religion through all of the study of it. And then that is actually when the question comes up, is who is the Illuminati? And once that question comes up, that's when you open up Pandora's box, and that's when you take the red pill, and is going on the quest to figure out who the Illuminati are, because in the community, um, a lot of people think they know who the Illuminati are. But I can assure a lot of people that they can go deeper into understanding who the Illuminati actually are, because that's part of the path of the quest, is getting past um, what is known at a massive level. There's much more, and it goes much deeper, and that can actually be understood through a soul's journey through the hero's journey.
Yeah, we're guys, we got an exciting show today because we're gonna be touching on, some of the different sides of Freemasonry and the Illuminati. Because I mean, at first, first sound you hear, um, it's not unwarranted when you like to think of the Illuminati negatively or the Freemasons negatively, but that doesn't mean that at one point there might have been a pure intention that got overtaken by Satanistic um, pathways. So that we're going to be talking about that really soon. Thank you for touching on all of their different military experience, what you went through, the transition to uh, uh, where you're now going through this spiritual journey. And I was joking about this with you earlier. I still can't imagine walking into an MMA ring with a guy who's got super soldier on his belt, who's got Space Force, who's got, like ninja, like spiritually awakened light warrior. Man, like that's a toe-to-toe matchup. I'd be fearful of for any opponent.
Yeah, I just say I go out on my shield. I go in there and I don't quit. I do not quit. That's one thing I don't do when I go in the cage. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. That is part of fighting. But I will never quit, and I will
Yeah, because
never
quitting
stop.
is the mental battle.
Yeah, I just won't stop fighting. I'll fight for as long as I can. And I mean, it is like really the ultimate experience because you train as hard as you can, and then the day comes where you have to fight somebody else, like for real. And you get ready and you go in the cage, and then they lock the cage behind you, and then one person is is going to be walking out, and so that's a very, for a warrior, it's a very it's an amazing experience. There's
It's
nothing
really,
like
yeah, it's really interesting. I'm someone who like doesn't want, like war to happen, but I understand, like, but you're really exposing this. I mean, like this beautiful side to a warrior. I mean, like being a hockey player, people think like hockey is just all about fighting. It's like you went to like a boxing match and a hockey game broke out kind of thing. And I didn't get why people didn't see like the beauty of an enforcer protecting your team, and that there is a code amongst fighters, that there's a lot of respect, and it's really empowering to hear. I mean, of course we've grown up with like ninjas and samurais and different warriors throughout the day. Well, you helping to like help me understand and help everybody understand that spiritual aspect of how that works in. That's really really interesting.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That is what my endeavor to do, is to bring the beauty, to the art of fighting and war.
Hmm.
And that's why I've been in war, and is so I can understand it. And then obviously I am involved in peace now.
Hmm.
Through the art of peace through understanding the art of war.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm endeavoring to do with writing my books and my practices in the martial arts, so I can help people heal.
yeah,
Like because I do plan on um, obviously teaching martial arts in the future, and meditation and all of that, because it's part of the education of the future for humanity, definitely. As
you
we,
got you got one sign up right here. I'm ready to go. Let us know if you're ready to sign up for some meditation martial arts.
yeah, no, it's all gonna come together because we're gonna rise ourselves up, to the next level.
Hmm. Yeah, this is a perfect transition to let's talk about some of your. So yeah, we're out of the military. We're now having your spiritual journey. Where did that start, and how are we going?
All right, so here we go. Yeah, like I told you, I started seeking my own spirituality, obviously through finding the Illuminati, and traveling that road. And obviously, through that, I found the soul's journey to the Holy Grail. And obviously, the Holy Grail and what it is a secret, but that will be being revealed here through time. And once it is, it's going to be pretty obvious what it is. But so what I started doing was I found the Illuminati and I found out how to basically uh, become one of them. And it is actually through what is called the hero's journey. And it is actually a commitment that the soul can make and travel, and it will take you into a whole nother dimension and ascend you, and basically what how it goes is you're in the world of common day. That's where you begin. It's the everyday common day world. Like a good example is Neo in the Matrix. It's you're working 9 to 5. Every day is the same. It's Groundhog Day. Nothing's changing. It's boring, tedious, all that stuff. And this is where the elite and the powers that be. This is where they have most people. You know what I'm saying? This is the Matrix. This is where they have most people locked in their consciousness. But it can be got out of. You can escape it, and it's not done through material means. It's done through obviously a spiritual journey. And so there's the world of common day, and then there's the call to adventure, which is the call to obviously there's something more than this. That's what you ask yourself. You're like there's got to be something more than this 9 to 5 boring, tedious, every day everything's the same. you know it's just there's got to be something more than this. And even in the mystery school I was in, the mentor that I have named Ramtha, that was one of his dialogues. Was he's like, don't you wonder if there's anything more than this? Like that was, because he's trying to raise your consciousness up. And so I did obviously wonder that. I was like, there's got to be something more than this three-dimensional world and everything. So I had that thought. And then once you have the call to adventure, you then either can refuse the call or you can accept the call. And that is the blue pill, red pill thing. And if you refuse the call, you take the blue pill, you go back into the world of common day, which is the dream world, the safe world, where everybody is living a lie pretty much. But if you take the red pill, you then have accepted the call, and then you go into now what is known as the extraordinary world, which is not the world of common day. And this extraordinary world is actually the spiritual world. It's the real world, where now you are in a world where you just are in a whole nother world. So this is a whole nother world that you've been in, and it's the extraordinary world. And now you're just in a whole nother world, and there is more now, and your eyes have been opened to this world. And usually, when you go into this world, you are lost. You know what I'm saying? Because it is so extravagant and tremendous that, a new soul that goes into the extraordinary world is obviously going to be needing some help.
Hmm.
And so then when that comes through meeting with the mentor. And this process can be seen in very many different movies. Star Wars is one of them. The Matrix is one of them. King Arthur is one of them. It can be seen in very many different movies. But it is the path of the Grail. So,
Oh, when you say the path of the Grail, because I know you didn't want to elaborate on it, but you were like also is because when I've heard the Holy Grail, I've also heard it referred to as like a royal bloodline of like so how do those I mean like the whole Jesus Christ bloodline thing but how does that if those combine or they don't combine or what?
oh, it's definitely a holy bloodline, that's for sure. Because people that know it's secret, it carries through them, and they obviously are able to demonstrate it. So it does have to do with a bloodline, and that bloodline has to do with DNA, obviously alteration through alchemy.
Mm, okay.
And yeah, so without saying too much, that's what I can say. But so that's how it's done. But this process that I am explaining actually is the process of the alchemy to change the lane, to change the DNA to become a part of that bloodline.
So yeah, so like it's not set in stone. Like you know you've got this like this royal holy bloodline and it's been passed down. Like it doesn't work like that. Like you can open up you're saying like your DNA to it through um alchemy. Yeah, we'll have like a live science project in one of these episodes where we're doing the alchemy to open up people to it sounds super awesome.
Basically, after you meet with the mentor, which is obviously meeting with a mentor can be spiritual guides, and all that, whatever whoever your spiritual guides are, and that's usually meeting with the mentor because they are here to guide you in the extraordinary world. So meeting with the mentor comes in the next phase after going into the extraordinary world. And then once you meet with the mentor and they have educated you about the extraordinary world and the knowledge that obviously you are needed to be in the extraordinary world, you then are now ready for your road of tests and challenges. And
Where you oh sorry, go ahead.
yeah, the road of tests and challenges then comes to the hero. But then once the hero gets through that road of tests and challenges, they will then meet with God. You know, they will meet with their higher self, and once they then meet with their higher self, they will then meet with the anima or their animus, basically the other's twin flame. They will actually meet with them, and because this has actually happened to me in my life, so what then happens after that, after they meet with the twin flame, um, it then the temptation of the it's called the temptation of the goddess or the temptation of the god. And so it's basically you're tempted by your twin flame, and that is to steer you off your mission, you know. So it's a temptation to basically steer you off your mission to see if you will be able to stay on it. But then once you're obviously able to stay on it, you then receive the reward, and that is your atonement with God. And then once you have received the reward and you have had atonement with God, you then go what is called the magic flight back into the world of common day with what you have received into the extraordinary world, be it knowledge, gold, you know, the sword and the stone. It's whatever the reward is that you've received uh, through going into the extraordinary world. It is the grail. Basically, being able to create your reality and be able to manipulate the matrix at will. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is what actually the reward is, because once you become a glitch in the matrix, and once you have actually created your own reality from source, you're creating your own reality. So now you don't need the matrix to run your program.
Mm.
So this actually can be seen in the movie The Matrix with Neo. This process can be seen perfectly with his process of how he was in the world of common day, got called into the extraordinary world by Morpheus, who was his mentor, went through the road of tests and trials, met with Trinity, which was obviously his anima, um, and then went through the extraordinary world in the Matrix and the road of tests and trials, and then he was able to come back into the Matrix after he became the One, and he was able to basically defeat the agents with ease.
Mm.
Which basically for me, I am now on the magic flight back with the knowledge that I've received in the extraordinary world. And believe me, I've been trying to be stopped by the powers that be of this world, but they cannot stop me from disclosing. So
Woo!
yeah, once you are on the magic flight back into the world of common day, you then become the master of two worlds because you've mastered physical world and you've mastered the spiritual world. And then once you have become the master of two worlds, you then have the freedom to live. And then you have the ability to show other people how to have the freedom to live.
Mm.
And that is the hero's journey. That is the Grail path. And that is actually how the soul's ascension is done.
Wow. That's really you. Thank you for explaining that. I think everybody can relate to trying to be on their own hero's journey, but it's empowering to see that there's a reality where it's a magnificent one that is,
It is, well, I am telling you this. I am just telling you this for a reason, because it's very magical and important. Is in the mystery schools, obviously because we do get trained how to create thought and how to create realities. And one of the stories, because there is a lot to tell, but one of the stories is the story of Cinderella. And it is very important to recognize because she used quantum physics in her own wishing and imagining her dream to come true. Because how else do you think the mice turned into horses, and how else do you think the pumpkin turned into a carrot? She imagined it, and then it
Mhm.
happened. And the same thing can be done in real life. Uh, your life can be a fairy tale if you imagine it, and you just have to do it over and over and over again, and it will happen, and your
Wow.
life will become a fairy tale.
You were on our spiritual quest, and you said that somebody helped you along the way, but it was also a conscious decision that you made to accept the reality path that you are going to take the red pill. So, can you walk us through who was like your, you know, like helping you find this? You described the Ramtha School of Enlightenment. Is that the first like real school you went to help, and then how did that happen, or was there something before that?
That was definitely the first school that I went to get an understanding of the nature of reality. Because I was searching in the religions and Christianity, Judaism, Islam, all of that, which they're called Abrahamic religions for a reason. But obviously, I found the Enlightenment, the Ramtha Enlightenment School, and Ramtha is obviously a higher dimensional, higher entity, who has actually ascended. He's part of the ascended masters, and he actually does have a school. Actually, there's three different schools throughout the world where he teaches the ancient mystery school teachings that have been preserved throughout time, obviously since the times of Lumeria and Atlantis. And the teachings that he's teaching He is part of one of the uncorrupted mystery schools. Like, because most of the Freemasons and Templars and everything else, they've all been corrupted, and they've taken the secrets that are taught, obviously, of creation and stuff, and they've corrupted them and used them against the people. But this mystery school is one of the ones that is actually pure and teaching the teachings, and they're not corrupted. So I definitely did find that school and found out that I had always been a part of the school, obviously through past lives as well, because it is actually a Lumerian mystery school. Um, and basically, a lot of the history of Lumeria in Atlantis is taught there, to understand those times, because those times have been erased, obviously, um, from our history, but they're the most important times to understand, because it does start to touch upon advanced civilizations that have been that have been here on this earth, that we actually are, because we actually are our ancestors, because reincarnation is actually real. And that's actually one of the secrets, that the church has killed people and burned people at the stake, like during the original the Inquisition, that the Vatican was responsible for, were involved with burning Gnostics and people at the stake, because they knew the truth about reincarnation. And that is obviously one of the biggest secrets that's kept, and is the truth of reincarnation.
You put that together so well. I didn't realize the majority of, because it's tough to pinpoint how religious oppression happens, but it's a very good example of how you can, that our reality is being manipulated that way.
One of the big facets, because religion, politics, and finances, are all are all places where they know they've been in control to control us. So, but all those facets are being regained back. So,
and sometimes those all combine together.
I'm just going to say one of understanding, because understanding the dark plan is one of the steps to the ascension process. Is actually the first step, is understanding the dark plan. So obviously that's understanding what they're doing and how they're doing it. And actually one of the best things that can be referred to on the dark plan is actually the Illuminati card game. That can be, if you study that, you can get an understanding of the dark plan and what they've been rolling out. Definitely.
Yeah, you'll be a little less surprised when you start to see stuff come up, because that card game is crazy. I'll throw some photos up, but the way that they can predict stuff and they have them in the images, that must have been some Akashic record time travel person writing that, because you've got to question your own reality when you start to think all of those are bull.
Yeah. Well, they knew, because it was their plan, and
Yeah.
they had been they've been carrying it out. But here's another aspect I kind of want to touch upon, is that's what's been kind of yanked from the Illuminati, is the terminology. Like the term the New World Order and the Illuminati have actually both been taken by the elite to basically discredit it, because they don't want people to actually know what the New World Order actually is, because the New World Order actually isn't the New World Order that's been getting carried out, because that it's not new. It's actually old because they've been actually carrying it out. It is actually called the old world order. And the new world order is actually what Trump and the alliance and are responsible for carrying out right now, which involves technology, new technology, and the whole financial system being changed, and the whole government being changed. That's actually what the new world order is, and
Wow.
that is what actually makes more sense.
So
But
they basically reappropriated the name, and to get people off the scent of the power you're saying behind
yeah, to
what was
get
going
people
on.
off the scent of what actually the new world order is, which is like technology and freedom, because actually Trump did refer to that in his inauguration speech. He did say we are going to harness the technologies of tomorrow, and pretty much explore space.
Ready to unlock the mysteries of space, to free the earth from the miseries of disease, and to harness the energies, industries, and technologies of tomorrow.
Because
Mhm.
he knew that what was taken away from the people was going to be given back, because he even said, we're giving power back to the people from DC.
Right.
And he was
Yeah.
talking about, obviously, the regaining of Space Force and the technology and Gessera and Messera that are being rolled out right now. I mean, the plan.
Do you think that Trump's gonna also say, and because it's so funny, the montage of presidents who've said New World Order. But if he says it, it's gonna make people freak out. Do you think he's gonna say that, or he's understands that that term is not going to be conveyed the way he hopes it would be?
You're right about that, because obviously through Project Looking Glass technology, they viewed that reality, and obviously a different term will be used for it, but and understood, but because it's been so corrupted. But what we are seeing happening is the new world order happening.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. But let's go. Yeah, let's keep talking about. So you went to this mystery school of enlightenment. Sorry, the Ramtha School of Enlightenment, which was a mystery school. And am I like sitting in a college classroom? Is this something more than a projector on the board? What am I looking at here?
Well, you would be sitting in what is called the Great Hall. Because this mystery school is obviously ancient, and the first part of it is pretty much understanding it's not in time. It's not in our time, it's beyond it, it's beyond our time. So, students do go and sit in the Great Hall, and that's where you start to learn classes about quantum physics and time travel and UFOs and the nature of reality and how to create reality. And obviously, different aspects like Hermetic aspects, Gnosticism, um, and all basically the teachings of the secret, the arcane magical teachings is what's taught in the school. And basically there's a lot of information, but one of the teachings that they do there, and this is actually one of the most important ones, because it does teach you how to access the what they call the midbrain, which is the psychic brain. It's obviously because there's the conscious brain, which is they call the yellow brain, and then there's the midbrain, which is the psychic brain. But obviously, to access the psychic brain, you have to get past the conscious brain first. So there's a lot of time spent in the dark. So you're blindfolded a lot in the school. You're blindfolded a lot, and you're meditating a lot. and focusing a lot. And what is one of the disciplines that's taught there is you will create a image on a card, okay, and this is actually one of the ways they manifest, and I can give personal credence to it because I've had it work for me. I've had the magic work for me, so I've seen it work. It does work, and all you have to do is do this. So basically what happens is you draw an image on a card, and then you draw the image of whatever you want your dream to be or whatever you want to manifest. And basically what you do is you can start out with every single morning. You wake up in the morning, and then you will just focus on that image. You will sit in a meditation, do whatever you have to do for meditation, light up incense, put on music, do whatever. And then that image of your card, you're going to put that obviously in your mind's eye, and you're just going to sit there and focus on it and imagine it. And every single day you have to, like, I still do it every day, and I'm never going to stop doing it because it's manifesting everything for me. So basically you do it every single day, and then you will start noticing in your reality things will start manifesting that is reflecting the image that you're focusing and imagining on. At the school, what they do is because they do send CIA agents into the school to figure out what's going on there, because obviously people are manifesting their realities. This is the one thing that the elite don't want people to know how to do, because they don't want people to be separate from the matrix and not be able to, and be able to sustain themselves. But the CIA sends their people in there to find out what's going on, because what they'll do is, just to give you an example of how the manifestation works, they'll teach students how to draw their image on their card, and then they'll blindfold them, and then they'll stick them in a field, full, like a football-sized field, and then the person will be blindfolded, but they will have their image in their mind, and they will actually be guided straight to their image through focusing on, because it's spiritual guidance. And that's what is being taught there, is that you can manifest anything through focusing on it in reality. And so that people will have that experience of being blindfolded and on a football-sized field, just being brought to their card because their spirit is actually guiding them. And for me personally, I had the experience, and this is just one of them. But so I was practicing this, and this was not in the school. This was outside of the school, because what they teach in the school, you're supposed to do it outside of the school to obviously have the effects on the outside of the creation of reality and manifestation. So what I did was I did that. I created an image. I'm going to keep the image silent because it's personal, but I did create an image of what I wanted to happen in my dream coming true. And obviously what I wanted was for my future to happen, right? That's what I wanted, because one of the key in magic is you don't tell anybody. You can't tell anybody anything, but I'm just sharing this with you because I want you to see how it worked for me. But so what I wanted was my future to happen.
Right.
And so this place that I was living, it was basically a town with 2 stoplights. There was nobody there. Very elderly community. You know, it's just like there's not very much happening there. So what happened was, the first thing that happened was a store called the Time Machine opened up right next to where I lived, right? So this store out
That's
of
too funny.
nowhere, yeah, the store out of nowhere um, opens up right next to me, and it's called the Time Machine. And so if I'm wanting my future to happen, and then there's a store that opens up called the Time Machine, I'm like, okay, that's something, you know, that's something there. So I kept doing it. I kept focusing on the image of my dream, and then a store opens up right below where I live, and they're actually an MMA fighting store, where basically this guy moves in from nowhere, and he is an MMA retailer, and he basically made MMA gear and had all this MMA gear. And then he found out that I was an MMA fighter, and then he ended up sponsoring me. So he ended up, you know, sponsoring me for my MMA and stuff like that. So that was just another manifestation of something to help me get to my future. Because,
Wow.
you know, and then after that, to seal it up, was basically another business opened up right next to me, and it was basically a holistic healing business and massage therapist, and which for a fighter, you know, massages and holistic healing, you know, I mean that's good. But basically, the massage therapist's name was her name was Magic.
That's too good. That's too good.
And I mean, so, but what I'm trying to get to here is, I also, I study Enochian magic. So, and that basically is, communication with angels. And, obviously when you're starting to get into reality manifestation and thought, creation, it is all angelic and seen by angels. So these things are getting put together by angelic presences, you know, and that's how these manifestations are happening, as angels are making them happen.
Wow.
Because one of the understandings about humanity is, we are actually higher than angels, because they actually have to do things for us. So that's kind of one of the understandings, is when you start understanding angelic magic and stuff like that, you understand that they have to do what you ask them to do.
Wow, I never thought of it on those levels. That
When you start to study magic, you will start to understand that more.
wow. Okay. That was Thank you for touching up on that and for clarifying. Because for me as a beginner learning about how this, like, our world is consciously created by us and our perspective and our own thought. We were talking a bit earlier about how we might be going through this transition of, you know, the Nazis winning World War II and what that looks like for us, and how that's bleeding through your reality if you consciously choose to look at it and accept it, because you could totally ignore it and you could be in a different reality. But the reality of, you know, learning about that history and how it affects us now, and how we're going on a change to push away from some of these negative Nazi ideals that are currently, you know, involved in our system. It's really interesting to, like, understand how our reality is being manipulated right now. How can, for the whole the people who want to understand proof of how our realities can be manipulated like that, what can you, you know, help clarify for people who can't make that connection?
Yeah, with realities being manipulated, The best way to do that is lying to people. And you know, even Hitler did say, make the lie big and stuff like that. And that is what we're going to be waking up to in the Great Awakening, is the massive lie that has been being told to us. And then that is actually, when that is revealed, that's going to drop the veil, because the veil is actually in consciousness. It's not like a physical veil. It's actually in consciousness. And once the lie is revealed about the, obviously I won't even call it the parallel Nazi reality, because it's the real Nazi reality. That reality will then become clear. It will be part of our reality, and that reality will have merged with this one, and then we'll be living in the reality that acknowledges that the Nazis actually had a breakaway civilization, and that that'll be acknowledged. And once it's acknowledged, it will become our reality. But just like any thing that's been happening, there's good and bad guys in all organizations, and there's definitely civil wars going on in all of the different organizations that are being cleared out, like the swamp being drained. All of the corruption is being cleared out, so that what is known as a meritocracy, as the Illuminati referred to, the next level of government is not a democracy, because democracy is free dumb, and democracy because that is just a front for control and enslavement. And a meritocracy is actually the next form of government. And this is the type of government that the higher civilizations are running, because the people with the most merit are going to be placed into the highest levels of government. And obviously, this is going to be responsible for all the changes that are going to be happening, like the changes in laws and the changes that are going to be happening, that are obviously making adjustments to our timeline, so that the most optimal timeline can happen. And all these technologies, like replicator technologies, can go to third world countries, because that's part of what Trump is responsible for doing, is because the world is going to get access to these technologies. And a kingdom cannot be built on an empty rice bowl. So obviously, that's going to be the first part, is when the revamping of the world happens, is getting replicator technologies to third world countries, so that food can be got. And then obviously these new civilizations can be established. So that's what's in store for the plan of the rejuvenation in the future. Once we take out everybody in the cabal, once they're all gone, this will be rolled out.
Yeah, I've been hearing. I've actually heard the term a meritocracy a couple times now. So that's a good point of research to look into.
Yeah, it's already happening. I mean, you can see it happening, because everybody's getting replaced and getting put in with people that are actually for the people, and not actually elite members that are given the position and privilege. Because the Illuminati, the real Illuminati, who are for meritocracy, they are completely against privilege and the elite. And they have always been opposed to elites in privilege. Like, that's who the real Gnostic Illuminati are. Like, they do not support at all people of privilege being put into positions of power.
Right. That's exactly. let's be mindful of that route that we're going down. Let's hit Freemasonry, and then we'll get into your transition to Space Force.
Yeah, I got you there. Obviously, because there is, once someone goes down the rabbit hole, they find out who the Illuminati are. The Illuminati did create Freemasonry, and they created all the secret societies that there are, but they got corrupted, and they got infiltrated, and that's why they're corrupted and infiltrated now. And there are very few secret societies that have actually remained pure. And so, obviously, part of being in the secret space program, I've been involved in being infiltrated into Freemasonic meetings, where I've definitely seen all the corruption that's going on there, because obviously their infiltration was all to find out the secrets of what was being kept in the secret societies, which is the secret of creation. And so that was obviously, that's been the battle that's been going on between light and dark, is whose creation is more powerful, has been really the battle between the magicians that have been in knowledge of actual secrets. It's been a light and dark magician battle that's been going on throughout time. So that's what's really been going on, is a magic battle, and obviously the ones that, because once you get to the highest level of Freemasonry, which is obviously the 33rd degree, but it does go higher than that. You either take the left-hand path or the right-hand path. And the left-hand path is actually to the ninth circle and the satanic parts of it. And then the right-hand path is actually to God and the light. And Donald Trump actually took the right-hand path. And people like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, all them, they all took the left-hand path to the satanic ninth circle and all that. So that kind of explains that, and how the secret societies, what's going on in the secret societies.
Yeah, when you said the knights, you yourself say you are part of the Knights Templar, which is I think that's from Freemasonry, if I'm correct. And so, how does that work and everything?
Yes, the Templars are obviously another secret society, but within the Templars there are also light and dark members of the Templars as well, and that is just another secret society where the swamp is getting drained as well. Because it's basically being reversed from what they reversed it from. When I started waking up at 25, that's when I really began waking up that I was in the secret space program. I was starting to have memories come back and mission recalls, where I was just like, these are not dreams. These are just not dreams. They're so real. And then so when those things started happening to me, obviously I started writing a lot, because I was going through my recall experience, because that's what happens with the memory manipulation and erasing, is at some point the person that's been involved in the program starts remembering, and so that was what was happening to me at 25. And I was like, whoa, I was like, something else is going on here. And so that's when I started seeking more answers about what was going on with me, and that's when I started finding out that I was involved in the secret space program. And so when I obviously wanted to talk to somebody about it, and I went into the VA, and I wanted to speak to a psychiatrist because I was having abduction experiences where I'd be laying there in my bed, and all of a sudden I would feel like this tingly sensation around me, and then I would be like in the hypnagogic state, and then I would see like a light tube, like a tube of light, and it looked like a tube like you go down on Disneyland in Tomorrowland. It was basically like a tube of light, and that was a abduction experience because I just went up into that tube. And then so I was having these things happen to me, and then I would have those experiences, and then I would remember actual mission recall memories, which I'll just get into one right now. So I was having these experiences, and then I was having obviously memories come back of missions that I was on, and one of them was actually I was in obviously on another planet, and I was on a town by the shore, and this town had very advanced buildings, like they were from the future, like they looked like buildings from the future. So it was a city from the future, and why I was there was I was there for an evacuation because there was a force there that was they had a very advanced weapon that they were going to destroy the town with. So basically, I was there for an evacuation mission, and the force was able to because I was there and people were being evacuated, ships were landing, people were getting taken out on these ships, and I was there in the city, and they basically were able to discharge the weapon. They started it and they used it, and basically what happened with this weapon was it took a charge and it just shot it up into the atmosphere, and then something happened in the atmosphere where something came back down, and then just this huge explosion, like super powered explosion, was coming into the city, and it was just destroying the whole city. And I was in one of the buildings, obviously extracting people, and I remember looking out the window and seeing this blast come at me. And then I was able to, what happened at that point was right as the blast came at me, I just, something happened to where obviously all these light things, light fractures and things happen around me, and this bubble was created around me. And then basically everything stopped and slowed down. So the blast slowed down and all the glass pieces slowed down in front of me, and everything, time just completely slowed down. And I obviously created a time bubble around me, which later I found out super soldiers are capable of doing. And that explained, obviously, when I found out that information, that explained what I was experiencing. And I found that information out through Peter the Insider, in one of the disclosure games that actually reveals that ability is the game Quantum Break. So that actually happened to me in one of my memories. And then when the time stopped and the everything slowed down, I was able to turn around, and there was a female ET right there, and I was able to jump over her. And then I remember the blast going over me, and then I woke up from that memory in my bed. So that was those kind of things, those kind of memories were coming back because I had already experienced these memories because I got sent back in time. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? So this was something I was already experiencing, and then it got sent back in time, and then I was remembering, you know, through my original timeline, through my dreams. So obviously, I was remembering this experience and these very extreme memories, and so I went into the VA, and obviously, I started talking about my abduction experiences. I started talking about extrasensory perception. I started talking about all the supernatural things to obviously the psychiatrist. And so I obviously wasn't speaking of, you know, problems and the usual things. So what happened was the psychiatrist basically gave me some relaxation techniques, and then he told me to return next week. And so what happened was I went back home. I returned next week, and obviously what was recorded was I was waking up to be an asset in the secret space program because I was starting to talk about things I shouldn't have been talking about. And so what happened was I went into the room to see the psychiatrist, and then there was a man there, and this was the MIB agent visit, because the man there, he was there talking to another guy, but he obviously he then came up to me. He then approached me, and I wasn't going to talk to him. I wasn't going to say anything to him, but he approached me because once again, like I said, anyone that's involved in the secret space program, they will come to you. You know, they will definitely come to you. So he came to me, and he started talking to me, and he's like, "Hey, you know, how you doing? What are you doing here?" You know, and just started asking me questions. And I told him about being in the Marines, and he told me about being in the Navy. And basically, what he did was he sat me down. We went to sit down, and this was when I was just waking up to be in the secret space program. So I didn't really quite know yet what I was involved in and what kind of missions I was involved in. So basically, what he did was he started talking about really sensitive stuff. Like he took me to the side, and he was like, "Hey, you know," he's like, "Yeah, if you know," he's like, "You know how easy it would be to get a nuclear bomb into the United States?" He's like, "You know, all you'd have to do is just, you know, row it to shore. It'd be that easy, and you'd have a nuclear bomb in the United States." And he's like, if it was up to me, I would definitely assassinate the president of Iran. I would definitely do that. And you know, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So he was what he was doing was he was just kind of testing me out with what I remembered about like really sensitive operations stuff, because he was talking about nuclear bombs and assassinations. So you know, he was seeing how much I remembered at that time. And obviously I wasn't quite yet remembering, but he basically gave me his card, and he wanted to talk. He wanted me to contact him, because at the same time I was writing my book, because I was remembering everything. So he wanted me to contact him, but I actually never contacted him. And so I never contacted him, but obviously, like I say, they know where you are at all times. They always know where I am.
They'll come find you.
Yeah, because what happened was I didn't contact him, but obviously they wanted to speak to me further, because then the same man, he actually showed up at one of my churches. Like I was going to church, and basically I walked into church, and that guy that saw me in the VA was standing right there. and he was actually talking to a person that I knew. So obviously he knew that I knew that person through information that they had gathered on me. So they obviously had a ton load of information about who I knew. So he was talking to someone I knew, and obviously I saw that, and he was there at my church, and he sat down at the table I was sitting down at, and after the meeting, he asked me if I needed a ride home, and I did, and so I in the ride home, I asked him, I'm like, what do you do for a living? And he's like, oh, I'm a berry farmer. But obviously he was not a berry farmer, because we continued talking about military stuff, and he was just trying to get information from me. But just before I got out of the car, he dropped the big bomb on me, because he really wanted to know and see what I was remembering, because obviously I'm not going to talk about these things unless I'm asked about them. And so he, after we got done talking, he's like, and you know what I've really been curious about is aliens. And he dropped the alien bomb on me. But at that time, which was when I was around 25, 26, I didn't know too much yet about aliens in the secret space program. But obviously I do know a lot more now, because I'm going through my recall experience. So yeah, that was my my MIB agent visit, one of them.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's really crazy how they've implanted themselves into your life, and that you're
Bureau, like I said, it's Adjustment Bureau for real.
Yeah.
Because anyone that's involved in the secret space program and in my labs, you have to come to a realization that you're watched 24/7. I mean, they know what I'm doing right now. They know what I'm saying right now.
Hi, for everybody watching. Nice to meet you.
I mean, for targeted individuals and people that are involved in the secret space program, they'll move agents in right next door to you. To keep tabs on you. They have whole operations set up around people, like of teams of like 24 people, where they'll set up operations in someone's community, and you won't be able to notice who they are because they're just dressed like regular people, but they're there to surveillance targeted individuals. So that's just part of what my labs and TIs deal with.
So you had these men in black coming in, checking in on you on the daily to the daily. So let's explain this Peter the Insider experience. How did you when you described the story of how you found him, you said you were I don't know, like whether it was just like you're searching on Google and you come across, or someone's like, hey, you should check out James Rink's YouTube channel called Super Soldier Talk, where he has on these different guests from who are secret space, who claim that they're super soldiers and have experiences with those. And on his show, they have this man named Peter the Insider, so can you explain, what his actual role is, because he's got a cool job title, and what he does in the daily, and how you found him, and that whole process of you recalling through his information to you?
Yeah, that is it's definitely a key and pivotal point in my awakening process, because when you are my lab and super soldier, you will start to notice that black helicopters are flying around you. That's just one of the things that happen. You'll realize that they're flying around you all the time. And so around 2010, I started noticing that happening to me. Black helicopters were flying around me everywhere I went, whether it be in the middle of the city or out in the forest. I would be followed around by black helicopters. And that is when I actually started doing research into obviously the UFOlogy community and finding out information about the black helicopters and what they were. And then finding out that it had to do with being involved with Dark Fleet and being a super soldier in Dark Fleet. So once I found that out, I obviously researched more and deeper, and then I obviously came across James Rink's Super Soldier Talk, which James Rink is a super soldier. He is legitimate, and his information is all legitimate. So I found James Rink and obviously got into contact with him, did some shows with him, and then obviously was having memories come back at the same time of being involved in being a super soldier. And then later on in the show, Peter the Insider actually came on the show, and what he really was the main link to put everything all together, because who he is he's basically the director of the 12th Division of the Alien Contact Intelligence Organization, which is basically tasked out to monitor all the hybrids that are operating on the Earth, you know. And so he is definitely got information that is just way higher and more, you know, more, it's way higher and way ahead of anybody that is in the disclosure community. And people will come to find that soon enough. But basically, when I found him, he was giving access to the MyLab files, and that at that time he was talking to just many different people, like 30, 40 different people about their MyLab files, and he was talking to each person for multiple hours, you know, about the information on their files. So it's definitely not just something that's just, you know, just made up. It's real information that is real. And so when I talked to him, I found out information that explained everything of my involvement with being with the secret space program, and basically found out, you know, everything about being taken to deep underground military bases, to, you know, being involved in missions where I was actually in missions with Peter the Insider, and being involved with just basically being involved in, he told me how many missions I was involved in, how many planets I'd been to, which was over 4,000 missions, over 160 different planets. You know, he told me who I was involved with, which I was involved with Kruger and Monarch. And obviously, Kruger and Monarch are facets of Dark Fleet and DARPA as well. But obviously, different black corporations have different perspectives on the slavery, you know, the slavery aspect of what's going on. So Kruger actually is involved. They don't believe in slavery, and they are actually involved with fighting the Dark Fleet with the Alliance, and fighting Monarch. because Monarch is involved with the Dark Fleet and enslaving the enslavement agenda. So I'm actually a super soldier for Kruger, and they are actually operating out of another parallel dimension, which I've been to, where all the technology that we is being held back from us is actually given to everybody. So basically, that parallel dimension, that parallel reality, is the reality that is we're merging with into this one, because we're going to see in the future basically what happened if all the technology was not held back from us.
Man, that's so cool. This is okay. This is a good transition to talk about, because okay, so we've got your you're starting to get recall. You're starting to have, and you meet with Peter the Insider in person, or just all over the phone?
It's definitely
Well,
it's over the phone, but I've had memories with him.
you've missions with him and everything, like where you're actually being with him. Okay, so you're having your Peter the Insider experience, learning about what you're going on, realizing that when you're being pulled for the secret space program, so basically you're also, you know, confirming your own memories, combining with you know, what he's telling you, because they're adding up, and then also getting information from you, the people who are in these memories with you. You're working with them, and you're, you know, building your memory database pretty much, right?
Right. That is right. And I'll just get into like just two more memories, because the memories are important. Um, but so at the same time that this is happening, I'm having recalls of, obviously, Donald Trump being briefed on the secret space program, and if anyone looks, there is information about, you know, you can see Donald Trump's plane, and then there's a UFO, actually a picture of a UFO right there around Donald Trump's plane, but that was actually taken around February 2017, and that was actually when he was obviously doing getting briefed about the secret space program, and I actually was part of that briefing, and another super soldier was part of it as well, because at that time I had a memory of, and there are different links that can be referred to, because the other super soldier involved in this, named Elena Kapulnik, she actually has a YouTube channel, and she is legitimate, real deal. Um, in the memory, I was providing security for Donald Trump, and obviously, we were taking him up to obviously the secret space fleet, and he was. I remember being in a hangar bay, and being there as security, and him coming off a ship, and he came off a ship, and then I remember seeing the other super soldier, Alana Kapulnik, there. She is a Russian Canadian woman, but I remember seeing her there, and then I remember in that memory, that's when she was working communications, because everybody has obviously a different role, but I was there for security, and she was there for communications. Obviously making sure, you know, everything was secure, people weren't like listening in, obviously, that kind of thing. But the next day, when I woke up from that memory, because I remember Donald Trump getting back on the ship, and you know, giving a wave and doing the president thing. Obviously, the other super soldier, she doesn't like Donald Trump too much. But I know what he's doing. So I'm definitely in support of what he's doing. But I remember I woke up from that memory, and then I got into contact with Alana Kapolnik, the next day, and then she actually confirmed that she saw me there. So
Wow.
yeah, that was
What kind of ship? What kind of ship are we talking about here?
actually, she actually has good images that can be referred to in her video that she made of the mission, because there were a few other super soldiers involved in the mission. There was another woman named KJ Scoop. She was involved with being a pilot. So the ships look different, but they could be. One of them could be the escort interceptor ship. Looks kind of like it looks kind of like a ship on Halo, and then they also have kind of a um, a flagship that kind of looks like the Star Trek class ships.
Hmm.
So,
Awesome.
but the images can be referred to for much more of a clearer picture.
For sure. Okay, cool. So let's talk for like 5 more minutes, and then I'm gonna let you get on with your day. Thank you so much for coming on, by the way. And we talked a lot today, so I really appreciate all the time that you're making or manifesting. Some story we want to wrap up, because I think the next episode we'll go through the rest of your Space Force missions and some of that stuff.
Yeah. Oh man, it's
It's
to
gonna be a fun
wrap it
time.
up. It's just like it's definitely most important to understand what's going on right now, because what has happened is these I'm going to just say these black operation corporations that do work with obviously a front company like DARPA. DARPA is a very front company, but these corporations that are like known as Monarch, Mobius, Cyberlife, Massive Dynamics, Neurocore, uh, Umbrella. These corporations have been involved with the actual matrix we've been living underneath. They've been involved with the technologies that have been responsible for creating the matrix that we've been living in. But part of the war, the unseen war that's been going on by the alliance and the white hats and the people, and obviously that are working with them, that are because we are getting interdimensional help. With there is a giant intervention happening to actually take these places out and take out their technologies, because that's what's been involved in creating the matrix that we've been living in. But what I can say is, as a Kruger runner, as someone that is working for the light side, that's part of the missions that the light soldiers, we call them light soldiers too, are involved in, are stealing parts and sabotaging the advanced technology that's been responsible for creating the matrix. So the matrix that we've been living in is currently down right now, because of all the interdimensional, interstellar missions that have been going on by the super soldiers that have been involved with infiltrating, stealing, sabotaging all of these corporations' technologies. So that's really what's actually been going on is, time travel, to even go back in time travel missions too, because that's part of the war is we have to go back in time to certain places to sabotage machines back in certain times and stuff, to make an effect now. And that's part of the temporal war going on, because I'll just give an example. One more example, and this will probably be a good place to end, because it's explaining what's going on with the missions, and what they are. Time travel missions to sabotage technologies that are responsible for, the control of our reality. And so one of the missions that I was on was, we were actually traveled back to World War II. So I remember being traveled back to World War II. We were infiltrating a Nazi base. This Nazi base was in a tropical area, because obviously they were, doing more than in Germany. They were obviously they were building secret bases all over the world. To obviously experimenting with advanced technology. So I got infiltrated into the World War II in this mission, and my task was to infiltrate a Nazi base. I did that. We infiltrated a Nazi base. I remember getting into a fight into the Nazi when we got to the Nazi base. Basically, we got captured. We got captured when we got into the Nazi base, and I remember being led down a hallway. I was being, I don't know if I was, if there were reptilians behind me or super soldiers, but I definitely had large presences behind me. So I believe that the base that I was in, they were Nazis working with reptilians. So basically, I was captured, and they were leading me to wherever they were leading me. And I remember actually looking out a window, and it was a large trapezoidal window. And I remember seeing this huge electromagnetic dish array. It was just a very advanced electromagnetic dish. And obviously this was in 1945. So, it was obviously ahead of its time. And so it was an advanced Nazi base doing some technology experimenting. But then what happened in that memory was I broke away. I broke out. I broke away because I escaped them, because in a lot of these memories, I'm telling you, I'm usually captured. I'm usually captured, or I'm running away because I'm infiltrated as a clone, to get information or to sabotage something. So usually I'm not usually, but sometimes I'm found out. So in this mission, I broke away, and they actually they were able to capture me again, because I remember being tased. So I broke away, and they captured me again, and they tased me and captured me.
Never quit.
Yeah. And then I remember again they were leading me somewhere, and then I escaped again. And when I escaped again, I actually remember getting out to a airplane tarmac. And I remember actually getting onto a transport plane, and I was with 4 other members. So I was with 4 other people that were obviously infiltrated on the mission, and we actually took off in that plane, and then they actually scrambled some Messerschmitts with some, the World War II. German attack fighters. Yeah. They scrambled a squadron of German attack fighters to actually come and intercept the plane that we were getting in. And I remember being in that plane, and I remember being swarmed around by German attack fighters, and basically they were swarming around, getting ready to shoot us down, and basically they got in a position to shoot us down, and then I woke up from that memory. So I believe that we got shot down in that memory. So what happened in that memory was my clone got killed, but my consciousness was then extracted out of my body. So that was obviously one of the missions that probably wasn't successful, because if you die in these missions, you die, and then your consciousness is extracted. But if you actually successfully make it, you successfully make it, and then what happens is they kill the clone, and then they erase your consciousness.
Wow. Yeah, just your avatar body is taking the damage while your consciousness is at home, safe in some ways. But yeah, so thank you for being our insider into the interdimensional extraterrestrial temporal war. You know, that's perspective you never ever usually get. So thank you for everything that you're doing with us, and really thank you for another amazing episode of Secret Space Force on Conscious Vitality. I could always talk with you for forever. So thanks again for all the amazing insight and all the knowledge that you're bringing to us.
It's my honor. It's been a pleasure, and I definitely appreciate being on here. And I just want to just say that the whole understanding of this is how you're not your body. You are not your body. And, as consciousness and humanity, we've kind of related ourselves to the image that we see of our flesh and our blood, but once we are able to start getting past the image, we then start rising ourselves up in consciousness, and then we're able to understand that we're way more than our body. And then that's when other realities start to become accessible to people, and then that's when the answer to is there more definitely gets answered, because there is way more. The thing is we just have to rise ourselves up, and then we'll be met halfway.
Yeah, we're all about rising ourselves up here on Conscious Vitality. So thank you so much for taking the time. Till next time, Anthony.
Yep.
See you soon.
Yep. Live long and prosper. Till next time. Thank you.